So I want to talk about when you were going through trial and your advocates that were with you, your strong community that took care of you and started collecting evidence and everything. There was some side stuff or noise that was going on within the city.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot about that. So can you tell me, like, when you were learning towards the end, when you were about to go to trial, what was the side noise?
So there was a lot of side noise coming, and I call it by the grace of God because some of this stuff is hard to figure out. I found out that the city of Port Richey, city officials, city manager, all those people, I found out that they had almost like a dossier on me that a friend of mine had got through public records requests, and I figured that I was being detailed and surveilled more than I actually knew.
Really?
Very much so.
And I saw one of the magazine articles talk about, I forget if it was the city manager,
city
who
manager.
said, "I am tired of these public requests."
So those articles were coming from Creative Loafing, Justin Garcia. The one you're referring to that was the mayor, Rob Marlowe, saying that he was tired of the public making FOIA requests. It's keeping them backlogged, pretty much telling us, I think it's our First Amendment rights and in the Constitution. And
Public records requests.
Public records requests, and he was saying, that we should stop doing that. Yeah, it was pretty scary, and a lot of the public, even people from both sides of the aisle, was like, that's unconstitutional, my friend.
It's about transparency.
It's about transparency, and from what we also learned, they had a very weak system that could easily be manipulated. And
Tell me more about that.
well, you would put in a request, right? So you put in a request that normally might cost $30, but if you're a BLM activist or an organizer, that $30 might turn into $300.
Are you serious?
Very serious. And there's only two people who can control this, the city manager and the city clerk. They work hand in hand.
Who was the city manager at that time?
The city manager at the time was Debbie Mans.
Is she still?
She's still in charge.
And the city clerk?
Judy Myers, I believe her name is, and she's still there as well.
Wow. So if it's still systematic issues, have they been fixed?
No, they have not been fixed. And we're still probably waiting for public records requests from some things, and I know other people are as well, but it was a very shady system. Matter of fact, when I got my first public records request from them, they gave me a stack of papers about this thick. And then once I got home and I looked at it, which never get any paper from City Hall, make sure you always get it on a hard drive. But the papers were double printed. They were, it's like the toner and the ink went out, and they charged us $180 for this information.
Note, don't get it printed.
Don't get it printed. Get it sent to you on a hard drive or a disk drive.
Okay.
I wouldn't even suggest a disk because my criminal lawyer, got something from them in a disk, and the disk, everything else in the package was great, but the disk was broke. Strange. But I would say one of the most interesting things was after I was, going through the process of the trial and after my acquittal, we, by the grace of God, public records requests, we got a hold of text messages from city officials, the former police chief, the city manager, and some council members that are still current, and strikingly one former council member by the name of Jeff Starkey, who was during the BLM marches. He was one of our vocal, he did not like it. He thought we were disrupting businesses. He was more concerned with money than human life, it seemed, or equal rights. But he was asking the city manager, apparently on May 5th, the day of my acquittal, they all were texting each other back and forth. What's going on with Marlowe
And you
Jones?
have these conversations.
I have these conversations. What's going on with Marlowe Jones? What's going on with Marlowe Jones?
What were the texts saying?
Yeah. So the city manager is texting, the city council member, former, texts city manager, hey, any updates on the Marlowe Jones trial? She says, nothing right now. We're waiting. We're just patiently waiting. She's like, oh my God, Kim just texted me. It's not looking good for the city. Kim is the chief of police who just texted the city manager that it's not looking good. So whoever they had in there that was reporting back to them was reporting accurate. It wasn't looking good for them. The chickens were coming home to roost. And then as you go further into the text message, she says, like, oh crap, he was found not guilty. And then Jeff Starkey's like, oh, great. Now him and the rest of those loons that come and speak publicly at Vox Pop.
Loons.
Will never let, he will never let the city live this down. And she says, oh, I know, I'm not happy.